Hello, Moonwatchers and Stargazers, and welcome to another episode of the Compendium Cast. I am your host, Jason Ashcraft. Hey everyone, we are back with Carlos Alvarez. I'm very excited. He hasn't been back since the first two episodes. We are here to talk about, what are we talking about, Carlos?
KRULL.
I know, I already forgot it. I keep saying KRULL, everybody, but Carlos will be here once again to correct me on my grammar errors. We were talking about KRULL from 1983.
Yes.
It is a high fantasy sci-fi film. It's very fun. Before we get into the breakdown of the production and crew, how are you, Carlos? And tell us, your thoughts and first impressions of this film.
Well, I am doing quite well. Thank you for asking, kind sir. And my impressions of the movie. Yeah, man, this is one that stuck with me since I was a kid. I didn't get to see this in the theater. I'm not even sure exactly what type of theatrical run it had here. But I don't think it was a very long one. First time I ever saw this movie was on HBO, I think, back in the day. But it was, back when it came out. So this one's been with me for a long time. I've always loved it.
I'll tell you my first thoughts of this movie, dude. It's a fucking video game, is what it is.
Yeah.
We're watching a video game. We don't get to play it.
Be thankful you didn't have to try to play the Atari video game of KRULL that came out. Yeah, what a piece of shit that game was, but
right.
They just got like some third grader to code some piece of shit game that made no sense, and they slapped the title KRULL over top of it. And
that's
we all
what they
ate it
did
up.
for
That's
all
we
the
had.
movies, for all the movie tie-in games back then.
Mhm.
I watch a lot of YouTube game stuff, like the Angry Video Game Guy or something, whatever his name is, and
Okay.
they'll look at the old games like this, and they'll literally be like they did a Home Alone one, and it's like the character doesn't even look like Kevin.
Mhm.
There's these random villains and stuff. And it's just like, how the fuck is this home? It's like they would do that. They just like, here we have this game.
Yeah.
Oh, there's here Home Alone. Boom. This is Home Alone now. This is the Home Alone movie. So they just did that a lot. But no, it's a fucking video game. I do love the movie. It's a fun watch.
Yes.
But there are a lot of parts that made me laugh because this is a movie where things happen just because.
To be fair, there was a lot of movies in the 80s, bro.
I'm sure. I know, man. But I don't know. Something about this. I feel like this is a 2-hour movie that could have been an hour and a half, is all I'm saying.
You fucking tread careful, sir. I wish it was longer.
I feel like I'm going to annoy Carlos a lot on this one because as much as I love it, I do have a lot to complain about as well. But
We're going to have some words, Chief.
We are. But before we get into that, production and crew, directed by Peter Yates. Bullet and Breaking Away are some of his more known films. I haven't seen either of them.
Those are older.
Yeah. The writers, so the screenplay was by Stanford Sherman, who's done The Ice Pirates. I haven't seen that either.
That's a great movie.
Okay. All right.
I love that movie. I have that movie on Blu-ray too. I didn't realize he did The Ice Pirates. That's funny.
Yeah. But he also did the Batman TV series. So
okay.
Yeah, the older one, not the animated series, everybody.
Yeah.
Producer is Ron Silverman. I don't have much facts on him. The cinematographer, which, by the way, is probably my favorite part of this movie, is the cinematography in this movie. Was done by Peter Solchit. I'm so sorry. I'm not even going to try. You probably know, Carlos. Huh?
You want me to give it a shot?
Go for it, man. While Carlos looks it up, he is known for Empire Strikes Back and Mars Attacks.
Yeah, I don't think there's any cool way to say that name because it just looks a lot like fuck shitsy to me.
Yeah. All right.
No, yeah, there's no good way of saying that one. We'll just.
I tried, man. Yeah, the music is James Horner. He's done Aliens, Braveheart, and Titanic are some of the more big known ones. So that's pretty cool, and that's quite a broad spectrum there of films.
Yeah, Commando also did Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Casting, right? Ken Marshall as Prince Colwyn.
Yes.
Very handsome young man. He would later appear in Star Trek Deep Space Nine as Michael Eddington, if anyone watches Deep Space Nine. Lizette Anthony plays Princess Lissa, and her voice was actually eventually dubbed over by an American actress, Lindsay Krause. I didn't find out why, but I think Carlos might know. Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually in the bonus content on the Blu-ray. There's like a little what do you call it, documentary about the making of the movie and stuff. But from what I remember, the chick's real voice is like, I think she has a really heavy Irish accent. And also like a more like a higher pitched kind of, so they wanted somebody that sounded a little easier to understand and a little bit more mature.
Got it. Okay.
From what I remember.
Fair enough. All right. Freddie Jones as our wise mentor. This movie is definitely not Star Wars, but we'll talk about that later. Freddie Jones plays...
Definitely not Obi-Wan.
But the character's name, I don't remember how to say this one either. Weiner? What? Ynir. Yeah. It's spelled Ynyr. Yeah. Ynir. Yeah. So he is known for a lot of Shakespearean work, and he was in the film Dune from 1984. Yeah. And then we got some boys you'll recognize. Liam Neeson as Keegan and Robbie Coltrane as Ruin. Liam Neeson is obviously Liam Neeson, right? Needs no introduction. And yeah, Robbie Coltrane, Hagrid from the Harry Potter films. So... it's really cool seeing them in these sort of like side cast characters. Yeah,
early roles. I think this might have been. No, this wasn't his first one. I was going to say Liam Neeson's, but he was in Excalibur, which was I think a couple years before.
And then we have Ronnie James Dio. Sorry, Alan Armstrong as Torquil. But tell me this dude don't look like Dio in this movie.
Last in line, baby.
Yeah, that's all I can think about this whole movie. The get up, the clothing, everything.
Oh yeah.
So he's the leader of the bandits, and he comes to be a good friend of Prince Colwyn. So yeah, that's our main crew, man. All of them are great, and that I love this movie. This is oh dude, no, I totally forgot.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, man, how could I leave out the boy David Batley as Ergo?
The Magnificent.
Yeah.
Don't forget the baddest mofo in the whole movie, man.
Oh, I think I am. Who do you got? Who am I leaving out here?
The Cyclops. Rel.
Oh, yeah. Rel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who played Rel? Oh, Bernard Bresslaw. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry. So we got Ergo, David Batley. He's like this sorcerer. He's the comic relief of the movie, right? Yeah. He's a bad sorcerer.
But he gets a hero moment. He
does get a hero moment for sure.
A hero moment, yeah.
He rides the tiger, dude. See,
they all do.
It's Ryan James Dio music video. That's what this is. Yeah, and then Bernard Bresslaw is the Cyclops. He also gets a hero moment.
He gets the baddest hero moment.
All right, budget and box office, right? It was estimated 27 to 30 million, one of the most expensive films of its time, which I believe because there are a lot of on-location shots, practical effects, right, and really good set designs. Like, say what you want about this movie, but this is a beautiful movie. Like,
well, the sets were all done in Pinewood Studio, or some in Pinewood, and I think there was another studio, Sheffield or something like that. Or whatever, but I know Pinewood was involved, and that's like the big dick daddy over in England for like studios, James Bond and all that kind of stuff. So I think the entire swamp sequence was actually a set built in Pinewood.
Okay.
Yeah.
A really good set. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the mountain shots were like the Italian Alps, and I think some stuff in Spain also.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it only made 16.5 million worldwide, so it definitely was what we would call a flop. But I think it's one of those movies that its worth wasn't valued until later on in its life, and
it found its audience afterwards for sure.
It really did. It was supposed to be Columbia's high hopes and answers to Star Wars and things like Conan the Barbarian, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Whether or not Conan was actually originally going to be a crossover sci-fi fantasy thing too.
Oh, really?
Oliver Stone actually wrote the first screenplay for it, and he was like going to set it in like some weird futuristic, like dystopian future or something, where you have this like old tech mixed with like barbarianism again or something like that. So it almost worked out that way, and then they got John Milius to come in, rewrite the whole thing, and then somebody somewhere along the ways took some of those original ideas, and guess where He-Man came from?
Like this movie, I think does the blend perfectly. It really is a fantasy film, but you got the space invaders and stuff, and that gives it that little bit of hint. And for as much as like
a stormtrooper quality to them a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not Star Wars. Yeah, and because as much as I joke, I do really like this movie, and I'll say things like things just happen because they happen, and honestly, I don't care. I like the classic sci-fi movies because it's sort of like these things just exist within this world. Yep. We don't watch a grounded movie in our world and be like, well, how does it do that? So it's sort of like you just accept it because it's a high fantasy sci-fi, so they're not trying to explain why these things are what they are. It's just the
world that they're in.
Exactly, within this world, they are, and that's all you need.
Like magic seems to just be a thing.
Yeah, and no one questions it.
Nobody blinks an eye at it. It's like, oh, we're getting married. Okay, cool. Let me hold this fire in my hand.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, but nobody bats an eye because it's part of the world.
Yeah, if that was the world we knew, we wouldn't be like, wow, magic. We'd be like, yeah, that's just that's what happens, right. And that's how this. Yeah, that's what it is. So
it's like if you watched a movie and somebody, I think it was for a different movie, but somebody made a comment once about like it's like if you're watching a movie set on Earth and you spend like the first half hour trying to explain why everybody's driving a car. It's like you don't need to do that because you just accept it because it's part of the world you're in.
Exactly. All right, let's do a quick plot summary, and then we're going to break this movie down. So, in the distant world of KRULL. Damn it. KRULL.
Windmill.
It's another one. An evil entity known as the Beast and his army of slayers. This is another problem I have. This is why it wasn't Star Wars, dude. You got to do better than the Beast and Slayers as your villains. What's up?
You shut your mouth.
I'm just saying for their names, dude. If Darth Vader was just called the Man in Black, well, that's pretty dope. And Dark Tower. But whatever. Okay, bad example. Anyways, the Beast, and his army of slayers.
If I wait long enough, you'll just like refute your own argument,
Hey, that's how I became a Trivium fan. All right, by trying to show why Trivium's a bad band, they became one of my favorite bands. So
okay.
Yeah, shape-shifting Black Fortress. It's just called the Black Fortress, okay? Spreading terror across the land.
That's so much less original than the Death Star.
Death Star is better. It's better. But I got my own gripes on Star Wars too. If we're gonna, but this isn't a Star Wars podcast. Yeah. To unite the planet's warring kingdoms, Prince Colwyn and Princess Lissa prepare for marriage, but their wedding is violently interrupted when the Beast minions attack and they capture the princess. Left for dead, Colwyn is rescued by an old sage named what, Carlos?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to do that every time because I'm going to say it wrong. Not Obi-Wan. I could just call him not Obi-Wan, who tells him he must retrieve the legendary...
That's disrespectful.
Yeah. Tells him he must retrieve the legendary glaive. Just wait till we talk about that thing. An ancient 5-bladed weapon to defeat the Beast. Along the way, Colwyn gathers an unlikely group of warriors, outlaws, and mystical beings, including a Cyclops, a band of rogues, and a shape-shifting musician. My God, magician. Sorry, everybody. I would take this again, but this is good stuff.
No, this is gold.
Yeah, as they journey across the wild landscapes.
Digging.
As they journey across the wild landscapes of what, Carlos?
KRULL.
KRULL, thank you. Facing magical dangers, giant spiders, and otherworldly threats, Colwyn races against time to rescue Lyssa before she is forced to become the Beast Bride, which... All right, let's get into the opening scene. So the title of the film appears. Let's see if I can get it. KRULL. Then from the background, we see this spaceship that starts to float towards the screen, man. Okay. Some pretty fucking epic music is playing, though. I will say that. Again, I will acknowledge the soundtrack of this movie is great.
Badass.
And by the way, what I mean by epic is it is some high fantasy shit. Like, this isn't some in-space sci-fi music. Like, I'm ready for an adventure, you know? Oh, yeah, I agree.
There you go.
Yeah, I love it. It approaches the planet with two suns. You know what has two suns? Star Wars. So
does it?
Yeah. Yes.
Who was the second son, Jason?
But the ship itself has a
Jason. Who was the second son?
What?
You say who has two sons? You said Star Wars.
Yeah.
Did they have two sons on the planet?
Yeah,
or are you talking about two sons? Like somebody had two sons?
No, two sons. S-U-N.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
What?
You're gonna cut that.
Yeah, we're. I don't know if I am.
I got lost too, man. Go on.
All right, let's talk about the ship.
Okay.
I do love the Black Fortress, man. For all the jokes I'm making, I think it's very unique. It's essentially this just a giant mountain, you know. And it's like a world within itself. And we'll talk about that later when we actually see like the inside of it. But so I thought that was cool, man. And it's approaching this planet KRULL. No, it's not KRULL. KRULL. It's not KRULL.
Yeah, no, it's KRULL.
Oh, it is KRULL.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Whatever. Yeah, I'm going to go in and just overdub myself every time I say it with you saying it correctly. So the ship lands, causing this fucking earthquake, to show the size of this bad boy. Then as it lands, we get the first narrative of the film, which I'm going to read just as it says, because it's setting up our adventure, our journey, right?
Sure.
And it was not Obi-Wan who's reading this. We just don't know it yet. Let's see if I can get it right. Urine.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you.
Dude, the way it's spelled and how I'm supposed to say it just fucks with me, man.
Urine. Nice.
Urine. What do you want, man? You want urine or do you want Obi-Wan? Not Obi-Wan. What's more insulting?
Just go with not Obi-Wan, please. Just don't say urine again.
Wyron? Why? I can't do it, man.
Ynir.
I can't. What?
Ynir. It starts with a yeah sound. It's not
Ynir. All right. Ynir. Got it.
It's not just near, it's Ynir.
We get a narration by Ynir. This, it was given me now. Nope. Fucked it up, dude.
Yes, you did.
Urine. This, it was given me to know that many worlds have been enslaved by the beast and his army, the Slayers. And this too was given me to know that the beast would come to our world, the world of KRULL, and his black fortress. Fuck! And his black fortress would be seen in the land.
Yes.
That the smoke of burning villages would darken the sky, and the cries of the dying echo through deserted valleys. But one thing I cannot know, whether the prophecy be true, that a girl of ancient name shall become queen, and that she shall choose a king, and that together they shall rule our world, and that their son shall rule the galaxy. This sounds like something that'd be in a Halloween song, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Gives me Halloween vibes.
Well, because that's like, isn't that like one of the most basic setups for any type of like hero fantasy mythology kind of adventure sort of thing, like
the thing that makes it unique from just like you said, your basic one is that they're space invaders,
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's the prophecy and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah. During the dialogue, we are shown some shots of slayers raising their spears in the sky, fucking doing their war chant, holding torches. We see a castle on a mountain burning. So we're kind of getting this kind of montage of just like the slayers invading, right? So the invaders have invaded. We get our first shot of Princess Lissa, as she's looking out over her castle wall. And then this is cool, right? We get a shot of the knights and their armor. And this is where we get our hints of sci-fi, right? They're wearing what looks like motorcycle helmets almost. But then what would their armor, the best I could describe is like a plastic look, but it's obviously not plastic, but it's very slick. It's not your typical knight armor from medieval
it doesn't
times,
look
right?
like medieval, plate mail or something like that or whatever. It's very form fitted, almost kind of futuristic looking in a way, while still being shaped like old armor.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like that because again, it's just that sprinkle of reminder that we're in this world that these things exist, right?
Plus, it helps set apart from other movies, kind of doing the same thing.
Yep. Yeah. But then they got their shield and their sword. So a little bit of both. I love it. We get our first look at the king, Alyssa's father. He's in this really slick, nice purple outfit. And he speaks of he's not. Oh, I guess some backstory, right? I did read in the summary, but what's happening is the two kingdoms are at war with each other, but they're trying to form this alliance through marriage that the princess and prince have sort of set up themselves. And the father is speaking out like he's against this because, him and other daddy don't get along. So Colin is, the prince that we're going to meet here in a little bit. So they finally show up, right? So you find out they were delayed because they had to take some back roads or whatever because the slayers were out slaying. And so that held them up a little bit. The two kings start fighting about the marriage and how they didn't choose it. But then we get our first shot at, Colin, who's like, we chose it, and he's very heroic looking. He's got some really nice hair, man. I'll say that.
Great hair.
He's got great hair. Yeah.
Like
he's just a handsome dude, straight up. Yeah.
Like a Patrick Swayze looking guy or something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 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 So he goes up to find Lissa, and they share some stares, a little bit of flirtiness, and then they kiss. So they're definitely feeling each other. It's kind of cool. It's not said, but I feel like you can feel it that they're actually into each other. They're not really just getting married for some alliance. I do think they believe that because they're the heroes of the film, but they're actually you're cool. I dig you too. So. It's not just some arranged marriage, for them at least.
No, you get a sense of chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. So nightfall hits the castle now, and the two kings come together with torches and agree to align the kingdom under a single kingdom, ruled by their children. So a whole ceremony is about to happen. But then we see some slayers rolling up from the forest. We get an old man who I wrote rocking the Hetfield handlebars is watching from behind some bushes. We don't know who he is yet. Ynir.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Ynir. So, all right. So Ynir. It's Ynir, everybody. All right. So we go back to Colwyn and Lissa, and they're walking down the aisle, and there's a whole row of knights, and they're kind of saluting them by hitting their weapons against their bodies. They walk up to this sort of altar, big bowl of water, and he says, I give fire to water. It will not return except by the hand of the woman I choose to make my wife. And then he puts out a torch in the water. Lissa replies with, I take fire from water. I give it only to the man I choose as my husband. She puts her hand in the water, and a flame appears on her hand. Because again, magic, right? It exists. We don't question it. But before he can take it from her hand, a blast comes through the door, and the slayers come in, just fucking shit up, dude. Ceremony ruined, right? We see the Slayers start climbing up walls like little Spider-Men. They're shooting. They have like these they have like these spears, but they're also blasters. Yeah.
And then like when they shoot, then they flip it around and they get ready
Yeah.
to shoot noise. It's cool. It's like,
Yeah. No, it is really cool. Again, just sort of blending that sci-fi and fantasy,
Yep.
I love it. Sword
Well,
blast.
how about like when one of them gets killed?
We're getting there. Colin kills one, and a giant bug creature bursts out of the helmet. See, I got it right there. So yeah, I don't know if we ever kind of figure out what they are, but they're like these sluggish little creatures, right?
Like
Or we talk about it later.
something.
Yeah, I feel like you have something to add, Carlos. You have your hat on. You're ready.
Do you know the sound that they make?
No, tell us the
Also
sound.
a recycled sound from the movie American Werewolf in London.
Oh, shit! I bet as soon as I heard it, I would know. What's
when David Kessler's having the nightmares, and he has the one where like the Nazi stormtroopers, the demonic Nazi stormtroopers, break into the house and stuff, and they're doing a kind of sound or whatever, that weird screaming sound. That's the sound of the Slayers when they get killed and the squid jumps out of the head and burrows into the ground.
Oh shit, that's really cool. That's a great movie, everybody.
Because I think American Werewolf might have been also done in Pinewood, so they probably have like a whole library of sound effects that they use for various movies, and they recycle them.
The Slayers are attacking, and yeah, we see our kill, and we get our first look at what I guess their true form is, right? These giant bug slime creature things.
Yep. Beast men in weird armor with lasers. They're actually these weird squid things that are controlling these things. So are they like, it's like the little alien from Independence Day or something, or is it something more? But we're not supposed to know because it doesn't matter because it looks cool. That's where we left off.
Okay. The princess is attempting to escape. But they get bum rushed by a few Slayers. Her father gets killed, and so do the rest of the knights. So at this point, she's been captured. There's also this cool, like, when they're fighting, there's like this red sort of lightning or energy from the swords.
Yeah,
that happens when they fight the Slayers. Just cool effect I liked. Yep. We get a lot more epic music. And so Colin rushes in, tries to save Lyssa, and then his father's killed, and he's knocked out. So both the kings are now dead. So they weren't around too long for this movie. The Slayers take Lyssa, and we see them celebrating, shouting as they ride off, back to their black fortress. So we get to the next shot. We see a hand takes an amulet from Colwyn's father's neck, and I have suspicions who it might be, but the next day at the castle, there's bodies everywhere, and then we see that old man from the woods with the James Hetfield, handlebar mustache sitting next to Colwyn, tending to his wounds. Colwyn just, kind of shoots up, screams Lyssa's name, where the old man simply just replies, "Alive, for now, but beyond your reach." When he asks who he is, he says, what does he say, Carlos?
Ynir.
Yeah. Ynir. Colwyn recognizes the name, so he gives him his father's amulet, and Colwyn starts to cry. And basically Ynir tells him to shut the fuck up. He's like, there's no time now for grief.
Don't be a bitch.
Yeah. It's funny because he kind of literally does say that here in a second. He's like, and then this is when Colwyn says, like, you haven't lost a father and a bride on the same day. And Ynir kind of just slaps back with, nor have I become a king on that day, which, I don't know. It's still okay to be a little sad, I think. And so they just go back and forth where Colwyn's like, I have no kingdom. And this is where he basically calls him a little bitch. He's like, I came to find a king and I'd find a boy instead. So he goes to take off. Yeah. And he tells Colwyn that they'll hold Lyssa in the Black Fortress. And so this is where Ynir tells him he can't go alone. Oh, so anyways, but yeah, sorry, I got ahead of myself. So he's going to leave, but Colwyn's like, no, hold up, I'm not a bitch. Like, it's cool. And so
word for word.
Yeah. Colin tells him that they're going to hold Lisa in the Black Fortress and that he can't go alone. This is where he needs to find some men, and he needs to find a weapon that can defeat the beast. He will need the power of the glaive. Everybody. The glaive. The fucking boomerang.
One of the coolest weapons from the 80s, man.
I just can't agree, and I'll tell
One
you,
of the coolest weapons of any fantasy movie ever.
Oh man, when we get to the glaive, I want to talk. So again, we're setting up the video game side quest here, where we got to go find the weapon to kill the beast. All right. Sure. So Colwyn and Ynir, hey, I'm getting it, man. I've said it wrong. I've said it wrong so many times. By the way, by the time we get to the end, I'm going to have these names. So they're riding together, and they're discussing if the glaive exists or not. Colwyn's like, I've heard of it, but it's a story. It's a symbol. It's a symbol. Yeah, it's not. And
it's Excalibur.
Yeah, so I've been like, okay, so we're Star Wars. Oh, now it's King Arthur. Yeah,
it's Excalibur. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the glaive is less cool. But here's another scene of course this happens, right? So Colin begins to climb this mountain because only the man who can get it can go get it. So our old man. See, now I forgot his name. I got too confident. Ynir. Yeah. Urine is waiting for him at the bottom. And we get a completely out of nowhere rock slide because there hasn't been enough time without some action going on. So he's climbing this mountain. We get our rock slide, but it's the power of the glaive causing the rock slide because only the worthy Carlos can go get it. I don't actually know if it's the power of the glaive, but I have to say he's wearing some pretty fly pants during all this. By the way, like,
oh, dude, it's that's the other thing too. It's like the there's totally like a old Robin Hood kind of like Errol Flynn sort of vibe to some of the costumes as well, like with the striped tights and even when they're having the fight sequence in the castle in the beginning at the wedding and stuff like that, like what does he do? He like grabs onto like the curtain thing and swings across, like Robin.
Oh yeah.
Like all like the old swashbuckling kind of things, Sinbad. Stuff like that. So it's kind of got all of those vibes put into it, which is
I didn't even think about that, cool. But it really does. And yeah, it does it well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, he's got he's got the nice hair, he's got the nice clothes. Like this dude's a prince, man, for sure. Is a prince. Yeah. So he's scaling the mountain for a while, but we get a lot of shots of beautiful scenery. Like I've said, like this movie has beautiful scenes, man.
Yeah.
I would love to go to all of them, dude. Let's do a
KRULL tour.
KRULL tour. Let's go.
KRULL tour.
Yeah. So they go in the cave, and there's like a lava river, I think. I don't know if it's actually lava or just a really hot river. I think it's lava. I think it's what it's supposed to be, at least. It looks like red liquid, so not quite lava. Also, because there's going to be a moment where he straight up puts his hand in it, so I want to believe it's not lava.
But it is.
Okay, well, he is the prince, so he can put his hand in lava, I guess.
Well, you remember, again, he was about to, and it
that's right. Fire doesn't harm us on this world. That's right.
Right. There's magic and the fire thing and stuff. The whole point being that, like, if he wasn't the right guy for it, he would have, pulled his hand back and it'd be like a little stump like this, but like because he's the right guy, he'd come back
the guy
with the coolest weapon from a fantasy movie in the 80s.
This is the cool. All right, so let's get this.
Besides the Atlantean sword, that's the only thing cooler.
It's finally time for Carlos and I, if we haven't been getting into it already. It's time. So it's funny. It's funny you said that, dude. I literally. Maybe I should read my notes first before I say shit, because I was like, he pulls out the glaive and he's totally fine. Chosen one shit, Chosen one shit.
It's okay.
So it's sort of encased in like a lava rock casing, right? But it breaks around it. It's all shiny and reveals the glaive. It's a 5-point bladed weapon. The blades shoot out. So Carlos loves it. I guess my problem with it, dude, I don't see how 9 times out of 10 you're not slitting your fucking wrist with this thing. Like when it comes back and you can't, like, I don't know, man.
You ever see?
Maybe because I'm not the chosen one. I'm not risking that. I'm not risking that. What's up?
You ever see somebody throw a boomerang and then catch it?
Yeah, not with 5 blades on it, dude.
No, I'm just saying, you do something enough times, you get good at it. Or in this case, if you're the chosen one, you don't.
I was gonna say he does it once and he's perfect at it.
Because he's the chosen one.
All right, fuck it.
You're talking about a movie with fucking squid stormtroopers and fucking a reptilian.
I'll take squid stormtroopers, but you start giving me 5 bladed side boomerangs. No.
The weapon's awesome.
Why don't we wait till we see what the weapon actually does? It's big final moment that's so exciting.
Cool.
Fucking cutting a wall for 10 hours,
It does what it needs to do, damn it.
Okay. We get just a quick shot of Lisa. She's trapped in every room. And so we're now at the Black Fortress. Just a quick shot. We got to remind everyone that Lisa's here. She's in this room that's like an eyeball. Every shot we go of the Black Fortress, not every shot, but a lot of them are different, like body parts, but they look really cool. The Black Fortress is just sick.
It's like the inside of his, like the beast's anatomy or something, where that the rooms and chambers and like whatever, they kind of almost form into something that represents part of his like anatomy. It's cool.
I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. So
it's alien looking. So it adds that sci-fi quality to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so again, she's in this room, eyeball. We hear a voice that basically says she was brought here to marry the beast. We're back with Ynir and Colwyn. Yes. And now we're told, or Colwyn rather, not to use the glaive until he needs it. And he'll know when it's time. So there you go.
There you go.
And boy, let me tell you when it's time.
Fantasy at its finest.
Yeah. So don't use this thing you just got. You'll know. He also tells Colwyn that at each sunrise, the Black Fortress moves to a new location, which I actually thought was kind of a cool little thing that you don't really see. Yeah. It does add that urgency of like, fuck, man, we got to get to this thing.
Whatever
each day it moves somewhere new.
Yeah, yep,
Exactly. Colwyn gets upset by this because the thought of Lissa there. Ynir says he loved once, and he hopes that your love will be luckier than his. This will definitely come back later. Yep. So Colwyn's mad because he's like, you said you could get me to the Black Fortress, and now you're telling me that it moves all the time. And he's like, well, I told you I knew how to find it, not that I could necessarily get you to it. And so they got to go find the blind emerald seer.
That's right.
So again, we're questing on the quest here. The two are sitting near a pond. We get this red beam that kind of shoots into the pond, and man starts yelling at them. This is where we're going to get our first introduction to Ergo.
Mm-hmm.
I said it right. That one's not as hard. What was that?
I said the Magnificent.
Oh yeah, Ergo the Magnificent. I do like this character a lot. He is, again, he's the comic relief of the movie. He starts yelling at them that he's drowning, but he's clearly not because he can stand in the pond. And then he like ridicules them for not helping him. But this is all going to matter. It's like, dude, they didn't even have time to think of what's going on. He asks where he is and finds out that he's like 1,000 miles off course. And Colwyn kind of like cracks a joke at him, and so he threatens to turn him into a bat. But instead he turns himself into a goose. And this will be a recurring thing that Ergo does. He tries to turn someone into something, but it backfires on himself. And so this is where we've learned his name, because he's like going to go off on his own, and Colwyn invites him to come along with them. And he's like, do you know who I am? I'm fucking Ergo the Magnificent, short in stature, tall in power, narrow of purpose, and wide of vision. And he doesn't travel with peasants and beggars. So, he wanders off into the forest and he runs into a Cyclops, but more on him later, because that's all we see of him for now. He runs back, joins Colwyn and Ynir, and says that he has urgent business this way. And when they ask what it is, he says, staying alive. So
the thing I like about that kind of like his character is like you said, he's the comic relief, right? But he's comic relief done right.
Yes.
Because it never comes across as eye-rolling or goofy. Like it's a very natural kind of. It's more like almost like tension breaking, as opposed to outright, comedy or something. Like he's not trying to be funny. It's just the situation and what he happens to say at the moment makes it funny, and so it kind of, adds a little levity to some of the more intense moments of the movie. Not that they're overly intense, but there's still a good back and forth with it, like tension and release and stuff like that. And he provides that sense of again, comedy, but it's not by trying to be funny.
I like the character. I was never annoyed by him. Like, in fact, you're you get happy feelings when you see him, and you
don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Exactly. It's like, there he goes, turning himself into an animal again. Another quick shot of the Black Fortress, but now they've moved to a snowy terrain. The Beast tells Lyssa she can move anywhere she pleases within the walls, and that she will rule this world and countless others from the fortress. She can't escape. She will be his queen. So, that's happening. But that's done now. Just again, quick little reminder that she's still here. So we gotta remind everybody what we're doing here.
Right. It's not a boys' night out or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's a goal.
The trio travel into a corridor passage, and they're ambushed by a gang of robbers. Ergo threatens to turn them all into pigs, but surprise, he turns himself into a pig instead. This is where we hear a voice say that they are surrounded by 100 men, where Colwyn sort of cockily says, 100 isn't enough. This is where we get our first scene of Liam Neeson and Robbie Coltrane as their bandits, and then we see Ronnie James Dio pop up as the gang leader, Torquil.
Alan Armstrong.
Yeah, Alan Armstrong.
Yeah.
Colwyn figures out that they are escaped prisoners and that he's searching. Sorry, let me back that up. So he realizes that there are not 100 men; they're escaped prisoners. He tells them that he's looking for desperate men. And so this is where we kind of get a heroic speech from Colwyn, right? He basically wants them to join him on his quest, and he tells them, that, join me and fight for your freedom and your freedom for your kids. And, Torquil's like, well, we are free, but this is where they're like, not for long, dude. The beast be coming. So he gives a speech, and it's actually Ynir who kind of turns it around, because they're kind of laughing at him.
He spikes the ball.
Exactly. And then we get the young boy. Oswin is the first to volunteer and says that he will join him. And then Torquil. Oh yeah, that's right. They don't believe he's a prince because he says he's a prince, or does he say he's a king at this point? Yeah, because his father's dead, so he's now.
I don't think he says either. Actually,
he does, because
I think he says, "Would you follow?" I think he says, "Would you follow a king?"
That's right.
He said, "Yeah." He's a guy. The guy says, "These men follow nobody but me, and I don't follow anyone at all." And then that was Dio who said that. And then Colwyn says something like, "Would you follow a king?" And
yeah, right. Yeah, and they laugh at him, and they're like, "Oh, a king? You surely must be mad or something."
Now I know it's crazy.
Yeah. But Torquil sees that he has the keys to their chains, and he's like, "Oh, only a king or his Lord Marshal carries those keys." Mm-hmm. So now he believes him, because surely he couldn't have taken them from a Lord Marshal himself. But we needed a moment to turn things around, and he starts unlocking everybody from their chains, and he offers to unlock Torquil's, but Torquil, he's like, "If we succeed, unlock my chains, otherwise I'll die with them."
Yep.
And then once again we get a quick shot of our Cyclops buddy, so we know that he's kind of following them. We still don't know anything about this character, but he will become very important very soon,
with limited screen time too.
Yeah, but that it works though.
It's like, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of bandits, and a couple of them fall by the wayside. But think about it. For the most part, there's actually a pretty extensive cast in this movie, and it's not even a 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a pretty good job of developing every single one of them, or at least getting you to give a shit about them.
Dude, and yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's not easy to do.
How isn't that crazy though? How like it can be done, but somehow movies these days fail to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because a lot of it is like we were talking about in the beginning. They didn't sit there and spend a half hour of exposition explaining why magic is a thing in this world or something. You just accept that it is, because you're on a different world. So just why wouldn't it be? So right away you save time and you can just jump right into the whole main part of the story and start introducing characters along the way. And every one of them, for the most part, is distinctly different, which helps set them apart, but they're also played really well by competent actors and written really well, so that you actually give a shit about pretty much all of them. Even the couple that, like, I mean, I've watched this movie countless times. I couldn't tell you the name, every single name of them. Like there's the one guy that, like, in the swamp or whatever, and who doesn't make it. And there's a couple of names going through my head right now. I can't remember which one is his. But even still, you've got at least 10 main characters in this movie, in a short movie, and you wind up giving a shit about every single one of them for the most part. So it's good writing.
It is. I agree. And that's the thing, is like you to sidebar to the last episode I just did, the 2010 with Eric, we were kind of talking about that. Even that movie, because that did come out in the 80s too. But Jesus, dude, every scene was spoon fed to you through these narrations that were written as like letters home to his wife kind of thing. Just setting up the scene we're about to watch. Like,
it's bad exposition, basically.
Yeah. And this movie doesn't do that, and you don't need to. We get it.
You get really, I mean, you do get bits of it, but it is, again, kind of serving the same purpose. It's kind of setting something up, but it's done very concisely.
Yeah.
You get that touch of exposition at the very beginning of the movie. Where are we? What the hell is going on? Who's involved? It's over in about 30 seconds. And then every once in a while, just to help set things up, they give you that little sprinkle, oh, we have to, find this person. Why? What can they do? They are this. And you know what I mean? But then that's it. They don't waste any time on it. It doesn't go into a whole, like, everybody doesn't get a backstory.
Right.
And so because of that, you can keep moving things along while also just throwing a couple of smart lines here and there in the dialogue that lets you know what you're about to deal with next. It's good writing.
Wow.
For a B-level fantasy, sci-fi movie from the early 80s or whatever, it's actually pretty banging writing.
Couldn't have said it better. Probably wouldn't have said it better. All right, so they're traveling. We got a whole band now, man. We got the whole party together. The crew, the Fellowship. Oh shit, it's Lord of the Rings, dude. The Fellowship is complete. So Ergo, they're walking. Ergo stops for some raspberries.
Or Seven Samurai.
What's up?
I said, or Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Or if look, I'll do it. Or Star Wars. But they all go back to the same trope. It's,
of course.
Listen, honestly, it's all Beowulf. All of it. All of it's Beowulf. Everything goes back to Beowulf. Okay. The hero on the hero's journey, and you got the fucking ragtag group of people, each one with a different personality, that all come together to make this goal possible and to save the whatever.
Yep. For all the shit I'm saying, this movie's not trying to hide what it is. It's wearing it very plainly on its sleeves, and
absolutely.
And that's why you just enjoy the ride. And I know, Carlos, it might seem like I'm not, but I promise you, I love this movie.
No, this movie is the best fast food at a time when you desperately need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of food, Ergo stops for some raspberries.
Gooseberries.
Oh, is that what he calls them?
Yeah. No, that's what they are.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I have a gooseberry bush. I'm talking like I have a gooseberry bush in my backyard.
Yep. Okay, so he's spotted by a slayer. But before the slayer can move in, do anything, the Cyclops shoots a spear at it and kills it. But then he hides as the men return to Ergo, who has now fainted. And then we get this little backstory. So here again, dude, we got urine. Sorry, just gotta. I'll stop. I don't think I can stop, dude. Now I just
don't
hear
think you can either.
Yeah.
I don't think you actually can.
Yeah, because now it's like that's what I think his name is. So he again, this is what I meant, man, by like this dude knows everything we need to know when we need to know, because he tells us there's this whole history. And I liked this too, by the way. It was just kind of a fun little twist on Cyclops. So we find out that the Cyclops and Slayers have a long-standing hatred for each other. There's a long feud going in. Yeah. With the Beast, right? The Cyclops, they used to have two eyes, but they gave one up to the Beast so they could see into the future, right? Yeah. But the only future they can see is the time of their own death.
Yeah, he tricked them.
Yep, exactly. So now Cohen, Ergo, I wrote his name wrong here, and Torquil and the old one, they go on alone. Dude, I don't know why his name's so hard for me, man.
Ynir.
Oh my god, Ynir. Because I want to say a hard Y. That's what's fucking me up. Ynir. People are gonna tune out of this just because they're tired of me trying to say this guy's name. Sorry.
I'm about to.
Yeah. So they have to go on alone while the other men wait, and Ynir takes them to a solid rock, and you hear a voice that says, "I recognize an old friend," and the rock starts to glow green, and he's able to walk in it. The rest follow in, and this is where Ergo says he has raisins in his brain case.
It comes across as a little funnier when you say it in his weird little accent, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's got like a Monty Python vibe to it.
Dude, his whole character does. Now that you say that,
without the slapstick, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I could easily see like Michael Palin playing him or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we get in. There's this old man sitting in a green cloak. He's sitting alone. This is the Emerald Seer. The blind Emerald Seer. Yeah. Sorry, the blind. That's important. The blind Emerald Seer, and he says, "I will seek the fortress for you." He has this little boy who's like his assistant, and he brings him a chair. Never caught the boy's name. Do you happen to know?
Titch.
What? Yeah, that's right. Titch. Oh, I did. It's right here. We find out his name is Titch. Just kidding, everybody. Torquil's looking around, and there's green emeralds all over this room. So Torquil's stoked. So he's trying to steal some while they're doing their thing. So Ergo asked the boy for some sugar balls, some gumdrops, and some other candies. And Titch says, I don't have any. And he kind of gets on. He's like, boys always have candy. And he's like, bring me a cinnamon bar. So just it sets up sort of it's setting up a dynamic that these two will eventually share throughout the movie. They kind of become buddy, it seems. So the green rock in front of the Emerald Seer starts to float, spin, and glow, and we see a vision of the Black Fortress appear. And then a hand comes in out of nowhere and fucking, shatters it, which it was the Beast. Yep. So the Emerald Seer says the Beast doesn't like seers poking into his affairs. Very fair. They must reach the Emerald Temple, as the Beast won't be able to fight his powers there. It is in the Great Swamp, which is a treacherous place. Now we're in the swamp, and the Emerald Seer says the temple is in the middle of the swamp, where the trees grow as one. Torquil shows Kagan the emerald rock he stole, and he's like, "This is this is our profit for the journey." And Kagan he's like, "What?" He's very confused, and when he shows it back to him, it's just a regular old rock.
And you see the old man laughing.
Then we have about 5 Slayers kind of show up in the swamp, and then 4 more sort of come out in the water in the nearby lake, and they start blasting.
Really cool scene, too, when they just rise up out of the water.
They start blasting. Cyclops appears and kills one of them, and then again we get the squid-like creature pop out of the helmet and pour out. So the men manage to fight them off. So there's this really cool fight scene in the swamp. And then this is where Ergo goes to the Cyclops and says, "That's the second time you saved my life. I am Ergo." And he's cut off by the Cyclops, who says, "The Magnificent." But Ergo takes this offensively and he's like, well, if you were a short man, you'd have to fucking hype yourself up too, kind of thing. So clearly he's insecure, and he does all this to boast himself. We find out his name is Rail. Titch says that he visits the seer sometimes, so they're old pals. Rail says that when he learned that the old one came down, he knew it was time and that he had been following them. Colwyn invites him to join their company, so we got a new pal in our fellowship. And then Ergo just doing Ergo stuff, wishing that he had pie. Titch wants a puppy, and Rail says, "Oh yeah, they're kind of going around talking about like things they
what would you wish for?
What would you wish for?" And Ergo is saying that he wishes for a pie. Titch wants a puppy, and Rail says ignorance, which I believe is obviously meaning probably ignorance to knowing when he's going to die. Yeah. I would assume. And then don't worry, dude. In case you were, we get another quick flashback to Lissa. She's still in the Black Fortress. Don't worry. We see this glowing wedding dress, and then we get this quick flash close up of the beast face. That's it.
I also love the look of everything whenever they show him, how everything's like all disjointed and blurry, and it's like it's intentional, because it kind of makes me think of like when you read like Lovecraft kind of stuff, and the idea of you see something like the Great Old Ones or any type of cosmic horror. It's like your brain can't process what you're seeing, so you would only be able to take in little glimpses or images or something and not really kind of perceive it as a whole. So I thought with limited ability for weird special effects back in the day, I thought they did a pretty cool job with just practical effects with that, putting some probably Vaseline on the camera lens and stuff to give it that weird smudged look, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually thank you for bringing that up, because I mention it near the end of the film, but you said it way better than I attempted to say it. Every scene's great, but especially at the end when he's gigantic.
Yeah.
But again, we'll get into that. But I agree. Everything you said, I agree with. It was really well done. Mm-hmm. So back in the swamp. So the men are now stuck in some quicksand. And the seer says, "It's the power of the beast." It's a new Beast in Black song. Everybody go check it out. Ergo sets him down to go help out the others and try to pull the men out. So obviously the beast can just see what they're doing at all times, it seems like, right? So he knows they're kind of coming for him. And so the quicksand, we're told, it's the power of the beast, but he created this quicksand. So I think that's kind of a cool feature, instead of they're just walking through mud and quicksand. Mm-hmm. So because it's kind of cool, because like nothing's safe, man. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like nowhere you go is safe. And they managed to get all the men out, but Minnow, that's his name. Menno. So I probably said it wrong, but Minnow. Yeah.
Minnow. That was
he unfortunately does not make it, but they try. And but while this is happening, who I assume is either the beast or someone, some creature manifesting from the beast, appears behind the seer.
No, it's one of his other minions.
Right, that's right. They mention it later.
Yeah,
and he looks just like him, so he's sort of like a shapeshifter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he chokes him out and takes his place.
Yep.
So we, the audience, know that this is no longer the blind seer, but the party doesn't know that yet. And so Colwyn says that he will lead the seer, or who he thinks is the seer, as they continue through the swamp. But Torquil comes up and offers to lead him instead. So Drats, because Colwyn's the guy he wanted, but can't have the main character be in danger just yet.
Well, you see when he was leading them, and he had the guy's hand on his shoulder, leading the blind seer, and you can see the hand was like slowly creeping towards his neck.
Yep. Exactly.
And all of a sudden, Torquil comes along and says, I'll take care of him,
Yep.
And then, like, you see him, like, kind of, the blind guy opens his eyes. He's just got them demonic black eyes.
Exactly.
Cool scene.
That he's starting to notice where they are. So they're getting close to the temple. Now, Rail was waiting behind. He decided to wait behind, which we needed because we need someone to find the body. Because now we see some bubbling in the quicksand, and all of a sudden the actual body of the seer comes up from the quicksand. Or is it just like a pond, or I don't know if it's still
it was just swamp, but then it turned into quicksand because of the beast was watching them.
Yeah.
And he created a distraction so that he could get his shapeshifter to take out the seer.
Right.
Okay. But then once the group leaves that area with the shapeshifter, the beast is no longer, doing his power isn't focused on where they were and turning it into quicksand. So it just turns back into regular swamp.
Oh shit. I never noticed. I didn't catch that. I thought just the body kind of rose out of it.
Right. It does, because the beast is no longer using his power to keep that patch as quicksand.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I didn't catch that it kind of turned back into a solid, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that even more than it just sort of floating to the top. The quote seer says, "Whoever seeks the knowledge must lead him, and no one else can approach." So he's trying to separate Colin from everybody, right? And as they're sort of walking together, he yells at him, "Here is the knowledge that you seek." That the creature, this creature yells at him and attempts to kill Colin. But just then, Rail comes running up, throws another spear in the back, making him, sink away into the ground. So
one of the more terrifying sequences, actually, because that one they really prolong, like the head coming apart and like the noises. It's like it keeps going. You're like, oh my god, just kill it, And
right.
the old man's head sinking into the ground all in slow motion and shit. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I think whatever this thing was it was a higher up than just a slayer, so we had to give it a little more here. And this is where Titch, he looks and he realizes, he says, that was my only family. And this is where Colin's like, well, we're your family now. So this, like you were mentioning earlier, where they kind of adopt him, and this is why the blind seer unfortunately is no more. So but don't worry, Titch is taken care of.
But now they got no way to.
Yeah. Now they got no way, so we got to find another way. So now Colin says they have no way to find the fortress, but don't worry, there is a way. We're gonna talk to the widow of the web.
Yep.
All right. And she might be able to help. And that she might not kill him, for he knows her name.
Might not.
Yeah, might not. He's not completely open to the men on how he knows her just yet. So. Ergo, for some reason, turns himself into a dog
because it's what Titch wanted as a wish. Remember?
Oh yeah. So I guess
to cheer the kid up.
Okay, yeah, because they're walking out, and then like Ergo just kind of randomly goes into the bushes and turns himself into the dog, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But at the time, I guess I completely forgot about that whole thing. Yeah.
Yep. What they were wishing for, and the kid says a puppy.
So Ynir has to go to see the widow of the web alone, and the men, they're talking, and they say to each to his fate, and he tells them if he's not back by morning, they will know his fate.
That's right.
So while they're setting up camp, Colwyn says that they have no food or supplies, and Torquil talks to Keegan and says, "Doesn't one of your wives live here?" And so we get a little bit of a backstory of Keegan, that he has about 7 or 8 wives. So his wife lives down the river named Marith. And so they're suggesting that she come by and bring some food for them to cook and all that stuff. So we cut to nightfall. The men are eating around. Marith is there. They're cooking a bunch of food and they're eating. And Keegan says, who's this woman you brought? Because there's this young woman that came with her. And they kind of get in a playful little argument, like, well, why are you looking at her? You know, and so they have a playful little moment where he tackles her down, and he's like, "Nah, baby, just you and my other 7 wives, but right now, just you." So
nice for you.
Yeah. So Colwyn is sitting around. He's messing with the glaive, and the younger woman walks up and offers him food. He's like, "I'm not hungry." The whole thing. Do it for me. You got to get your strength up.
Sure.
Black Fortress time, baby. So we're with the princess. She's wandering around. Here's another cool shot, man. She's in this room where it's like a hand and these claws, right? So again, another, like you said, another extension of the beast almost. And the
rooms are always kind of morphing too.
It's really cool.
Yeah. It's not static. It's like as she's moving, the walls come together or open up, and the rooms are reshaping and stuff.
It's interesting, man. Like, the ingredients almost of what it takes for a movie to become successful, because there are a lot of things in this movie that are very unique and you don't really see, but then it was a flop,
Yeah. Could have been when it came out, there's a lot of movies like that come out, they don't do well or they underperform or whatever, and then it gets released on home video at whatever, or now streaming services. But back in the day, when it came out on home video and when it was played on HBO and stuff like that, then a lot of times those movies will find like a fan base that they didn't in theater for whatever reason.
And I wonder too if because again they said like this was Columbia trying to have their Star Wars or their Conan. It was like the reason Star Wars and Conan are what they are is it's like they were almost the first of it, maybe not the storytelling, but for what it brought. There was nothing like Star Wars before Star Wars. There were sci-fi films, sure. And there was nothing like Conan before Conan as far as what it brought. So it's like for this, I don't know. So it could have been people have seen it before, even though there's unique things within it. It's, as we've said, the story is tried and true kind of thing. I don't know. But I
think, when this one came out, it was kind of not, I don't want to say at the ass end of like the 80s fantasy run of movies or whatever, but it definitely came out after a lot of the other ones that are similarly low budget or whatever, but somehow were actually successful. Like a great example, I mean, you want to talk about one of the ultimate B-level sword and sorcery movies, The Sword and the Sorcerer, came out right at the same time as Conan the Barbarian. I saw that in the theater. I remember seeing that in the theater. That movie was phenomenal, like as far as like money-wise. Okay, and then you got Conan, which is just its own thing entirely. I mean, it's not even a fantasy movie or anything like that. That's like a legit piece of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got other ones that were like kind of like, somewhere tied to that, the Beastmaster, things like that. Again, that one didn't have a hugely successful run in the theaters, but it got huge when it came out on HBO. KRULL just it didn't land. It came out, if it had come out a year before, it probably would have been something huge. Yeah. But I think it just came out like that, just at the wrong moment or something. Or who knows what other movies were kind of what it was competing against when it released or something, But yeah, I think if it had come out like maybe a year before, it probably would have been like a whole other story for it.
Yeah, because there's a lot. I mean, I've said it many times, but every shot in this movie is great. I don't think there's a single scene I would complain about visually.
No, they did a lot of really original stuff with this movie, and again, like we said already a few times, even from a lot of basically unknown actors, there's a lot of great acting, and there was really good writing, and it had all the elements. It had all the ingredients. Just for some reason, it just didn't land.
Yeah. Black Fortress. So it looks great. And so she wanders into this room that, again, I didn't quite understand it. Maybe you can help me out with what I saw here. Because she goes in a room and it's almost like a window view of the outside, right? So it's sunny out.
Is that the one where it looks like the inside of a whale's mouth?
Yeah.
On either side, they look like pillars at first, but they're teeth.
Yep. So it's like sunny outside, and then she gets closed in the room, and then the view she's seeing turns into night. So I don't.
It's I take it as he's letting her see what he wants her to see.
Okay. And then we cut back real quick to Colin. He walks up to the young woman who brought him the food, and is like, "What troubles you?" So something's up with her. There's this quick little question, and now we're back with the princess, who's talking to the beast, and we get the kind of cool shots again of the beast, as you were saying earlier. And he tells her, like, "You have chosen a paltry kingdom on an insignificant planet," and she replies, "And love." She's chosen love, man. Where the beast says, "Love is fleeting and power is eternal," and a fucking giant hand comes out of the ground, breaks out of the floor, and then it turns into fire, and then a giant rose. So he's trying to seduce her with his power, is what I got from this, but she ain't feeling it. He takes the shape of Colin, and he says, "I could take any form." She's like, "Yeah, but there's no love in this form," basically saying, like, it wouldn't be real just because you can look like whatever I want you to look like. And this is where he sort of does his magic, again, magic be magic, and we can see
what's happening in the outside world.
Exactly. We see Colwyn and the young maiden, and he's trying to be like, "Yeah, but your boy's about to cheat on you or whatever." And she's like, "Say it ain't true," So the maiden does try to seduce Colwyn, and he rejects her. He's like, I cannot find comfort while she has none. And her eyes turn black, and she gets some claws, and
you realize she's the same thing. She's one of those like changeling things.
Exactly. But he pulls away, and she's like, "My claws were inches from your throat, and I could have killed you, but I didn't because I love you." It's been like an hour, but
he really is good looking though.
He is. Even I was like, "Hey,
that's a
brush your hair."
Guy.
I'll brush your hair, man.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I'll comb your beard. It's a good looking dude.
He was a handsome man. Yeah. So the beast kills her because Lissa's like, "It looks like it's you who was betrayed." And then so he says, "Consider the power you have." And he basically tells her, like, "If you marry me, I'll stop the Slayers from essentially slaughtering your land and your people. So it's up to you. You have the power to do this. Each hour you delay, more innocent people are killed." So kind of manipulating her into marrying him. Ynir walks into a cave, and there's this giant spider web. I think I just like things with giant spiders, So there's a giant spider web, and in the center is this like sort of illuminating room. And he yells out, "I seek the widow," who responds, "Enter here and die." But he enters anyways. He ain't afraid. He steps onto the giant. Well, he might be afraid, but he's got to do what he's got to do, man. He steps on the giant web, and it makes like a wind chime sound. But it was cool. It worked, Like the sound effect could have been
a great visual.
Exactly.
Like these crystalline webs all over.
Yeah.
And then, like, again with the wind chime sound when they're moving and stuff.
So it worked. Yeah. It was really cool.
You've never seen that in anything else, So
exactly.
It's unique to that movie.
Yep. So he steps on it. So first he kind of tests it out, right? And we hear the wind chime, and then he steps on, we hear it again, and then we see the legs of the spider, man. The spider of the web, right? Not the widow of the web.
And it's like a crystal.
Yeah, it's like a crystallized white, transparent spider. It looks really fucking cool. So
and I also appreciate the fact that like they did like the old school stop motion animation on it and stuff.
It works. It works for me. It looks so good.
The creepy factor to it.
Yep, exactly. And so we see the cool spider, and it's got like this red sort of inner tummy sort of thing going on. So it's kind of like a reverse Black Widow, maybe. I don't know. It just looks really cool. Yeah, it's got the red on its tummy. Ynir yells out, "Lissa!" Like
right when he knows the spider's about like heading right towards him.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's kind of like, "Oh shit, you know my name," So she turns like this hourglass, and basically is like, "I give you this time," and it makes the spider stop its pursuit. And so it's like he's got a certain amount of time to get in there. And Ynir, I went back. So now he gets there just in time, right? The hourglass runs out, the spider starts coming back, but he makes it in. So he gets in the web room, And we find out that Ynir and the Widow, they used to be together, and they had a son. So this part's a little wild for me, man, but we'll see how you feel. So we find out that they had a son, and maybe I missed something in the talking, but I don't think so. And she's just kind of like, yeah, I killed him, at birth. And this is her punishment. So she's now like this sort of old looking woman.
Well, she's old, but she's basically cursed to be stuck in that evil web.
Oh, I got confused by something that happens later, but you're right. Yeah. She's old because she's old. But yeah, so she's cursed to be in this room. So she's like, you weren't here, so I needed a victim for my rage. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah, it is. Hey, man, these aren't nice times.
But here's the part for me. He's kind of just like, it's cool. Like he finds out he had a son and that you killed him, but it's cool because she's like, I know you can never forgive me. And he's just like, I cannot forgive myself. I have already forgiven you. And she's just like, yeah, you can forgive a woman who killed your son. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And he's like, if only you could see me as I see you now. And this is where she gets a younger appearance. So I think that's where I was confused, where I thought like the old look was part of the curse, but I think they're just flashing back to how she was back then, Yeah. But again, I was like, wild. You find out that you had a son and she killed him, and you're just like, it's cool. I'd still smash,
It's not entirely how it transpires, but yeah, I mean,
unless I missed something,
it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I mean, yeah, it's not like, I agree with you. He didn't really flip out or anything, but I also think it's because he hasn't seen this bitch in like fucking 40 years, and B, he never knew about it in the first place. So
right,
that, and then C, because there's a prevailing sense of urgency that he's not about to let himself get caught up in his own shit.
We find out the Black Fortress will rise tomorrow in the Iron Desert, but she tells Ynir that this information is useless to him because he can't leave. And this is where we find out that she shares, well, we already knew, but he tells her, like, you share the same name as a princess, and, she's trapped there, and I need to leave so that I can give this information to the prince to save her. So, like, you got to let me go. And so she breaks the hourglass and gives him the sand. Basically, by doing this, she's sacrificing her life. And so, but then, and so is he. Yeah. So I was gonna say, so she gives him the sand, but tells him, like, once this sand leaves your hand or something, like, you will
your life runs out with the sand.
Your life runs out with the sand, exactly. But it will allow him to. As he leaves, the spider starts to pursue him again, and when the spider gets close, he's able to drop the sand from his hand, which stops the spider.
But also speeds up the end of his life.
Exactly. So, yeah, as the spider gets near, he drops some of the sand. He escapes, and we get this quick shot, but it's kind of haunting, man. The spider is on top of the room now.
The cocoon with the old lady, yeah, the widow.
Yeah, and it's breaking in, I believe. We get sort of like some electrical shock shit going on. But it's getting in to get her.
Yep.
Just a cool shot. Again, have we said it yet? This whole part's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So Ynir comes back to the camp and he's fucking yelling, man. He's like, tomorrow, Iron Desert, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
But then he falls from the rocks into Colwyn's arms, and he dies, because he's run out of the sand.
Yep. And
he tells him, use your powers wisely, don't squander it. And then he epically dies. So Colwyn thanks him, saying, like, you were great, you were a good guy. I forget exactly what he said, but it was a lot more heart wrench than what I'm saying now, everybody. And then they say that the Iron Desert is 1,000 leagues away, but don't worry, Carlos, this world has an answer for us. There are fire mares.
One of the coolest answers.
Yeah. So the fire mares can travel 1,000 leagues in a day, so it's fine. And so we get another quick shot of the Black Fortress dipping out of the snow, and then it shows up into the Iron Desert, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we get this really cool, beautiful shot of these really beautiful wild horses, running through sort of a corridor.
Draft
area.
horses, man, those things are gigantic.
Yeah, they are. So they run into this valley where, our band of heroes are waiting for them.
Which, by the way, if I could just say, again, just another remarkably cool and inspired artistic choice, that rather than getting like a bunch of like sleek, athletic looking, like, I don't know, like Andalusian horses or something like that, like things that look like race horses, they got fucking Clydesdale draft horses. Each one of them the size of a small house, and yet these are the things that can move that fast.
Right.
I think that's cool.
So it takes them in a while, but they saddle them up, and they saddle them up, and the Cyclops helps Titch up on the horse with Keegan, and this is where we find out that he's not going with them. And when they ask, he's like, "It's my time." So it is his time to die. Keegan says to Titch, like, "Well, if he's going to die, why doesn't he just come with us?" Right. And this is where Titch says, "Well, if he doesn't stay and accept his fate, it'll bring him great pain. It'll bring great pain on himself."
Yep.
So Rail says his goodbyes to Colwyn and Ergo, and Ergo says something like, "We didn't have enough time." Yep. Saying like, "I wish we had more time together." So they all ride off, but it's important that Rail stays and accepts his fate. Yep. So we get some outdated green screen action, but it's fine. It's a fun part. Like, they're all having a good time riding these horses. As they're going, the horses' feet start to ignite and flame. They're the fire mares.
They're running so fast.
Exactly. They can travel 1,000 leagues in a day, and and so they're traveling. Everyone's having fun, hooting, hollering, and again, some really good music in this part.
I said it's like one of the best parts of the theme, the main theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really great. They
heroic sounding,
Yep. They jump over a big sort of
like a chasm.
Thank you. Chasm. And now they're either flying or falling with style. I wasn't quite sure.
Falling with style.
That's what I thought. Okay. Because I thought flying, but then they show them kind of gradually come back down.
Yeah, it was a huge jump that they did because they're they're going so fast when they make the jump that they're just very prolonged drifting back down to the ground.
And so now here they are, man. We've made it 1,000 leagues in a day.
And the sun's going down.
Yep. So I don't think the sun's not going down. The sun's actually coming up, because as we're going to find out when we get there, they got to hurry to scale. Right, yeah. So they make it to the Black Fortress, and they're like, "We got to hurry up and we got to get inside before the sun rises, because it's going to move again. And if they're not inside, well, then they're screwed." So they start scaling the side of the Black Fortress, trying to beat the sunrise before it changes locations. But the Slayers start coming out of the fortress, shooting at them. And then we see Rail, they seem kind of cornered and like they're not going to make it. Nope. And sort of all seems lost. But Rail shows up on his own fire mage, and he's
total fucking hero moment.
Yep, he's decided not to stay and accept his fate and help his friends, and he will endure the pain, which, as we'll see, is pretty gnarly how he goes out.
Oh yeah, like a boss though.
Yep, and this is the moment where our poor dear Hagrid gets shot. Yep. Yeah, and man, he doesn't even get to finish what he was trying to say. Like, he gets double blasted in this part. So I'll let you say it, because you know the line better than me. So Hagrid gets shot, and he's talking to Colwyn, and he says
something to the effect of, "I was wrong. The journey was worth it." And then he says, "Finish it."
Yeah, but dude, as he's saying finish it, like, he doesn't even get it out before, like, boom, just like a kill shot done. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was pretty gnarly, because usually, like, in those moments, they get to say their thing and then they go peacefully. But this was like a nope, like a sniper shot. Just so I did kind of like this part, and I don't know if this is how I took it or if it was meant to be. But Rail kind of shows up and just starts walking towards them like a fucking boss.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because he knows, like, nah, this isn't what's gonna get me. Like, these shot. So
he gets shot a couple times, but he's just like walking right through it, man, like a tank.
Yeah. He just walks through. Everyone kind of follows behind him.
I think it's actually because he at that point he's probably like he's probably already in like some kind of like agony or something from defying his fate. That those shots he don't even feel that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, dude.
He's tanking his way through.
He's on that fucking fate defying adrenaline or something. Yeah. It's just rough. But so yeah. So they get in, and the fortress is kind of closing in on like the two side doors of the mountain, kind of coming in on them, and he's holding it open for everybody. As everybody get inside, and they try to help him to get in, but this is where it's kind of gnarly, because he doesn't make it. He gets squished by the door.
Slowly.
Slowly, man. Like
it's not like it snaps shut and then that's the end of him. That shit was like slowly fucking trash compactor him, like
it was pretty gnarly.
It was brutal.
Even though we don't really see anything, it's like just all that, and just like that's how the dude goes out was pretty rough.
But total hero.
Yep, exactly. Gets everyone inside. We see the two suns start to rise, and the Black Fortress is now in a meadow. A very beautiful meadow, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Inside the Black Fortress is just really awesome. It's like its own world of its own. They're crossing this giant bridge. There's a waterfall behind it. So you have to imagine inside it, it's got like its own ecosystem. You know,
it's got to be able to travel through space.
Yeah, and they got to live, but it's also very easy to get lost in this thing, man. Like I can't imagine trying to find your way through it, because for all the beautiful parts we see too, anytime they're just walking through hallways, it's like a maze. So we've lost Hagrid, and now we're about to lose our man. Liam Neeson gets shot. Torquil is sitting with Keegan, and he says, the journey is over for me. They share a moment, and now the floors open up. So Torquil, I like trying to keep track of it. So Torquil, Ergo, Titch, Oswin, and someone else whose name I have forgotten. They all fall into the floor. They try to help them out, but the floor starts to close in, and they can't. So, God, who's still left with Colin now? I forget.
Colin goes back in there to try to grab Ergo and Titch, but he can't in time, so they pull him back up.
Yeah.
So Ergo and Titch are left underneath, like where the floor closed. They're in the next layer down.
Oh, so it's just those two that got stuck.
Yeah. And then Slayers start coming around the corner at them. That's
right. Okay, because in a moment Torquil, Oswin, and the other gentleman get separated. But now I remember. Right. So, so we'll get back to that in a second, because now, here was my dumb Dio joke. So Ergo and Titch are down there, and Ergo, to help fight off the Slayers, turns himself into a tiger.
Yep.
So there's something there about riding the tiger, right? So we reach the room holding Lyssa, and Colin says he must go on alone. Why? Because he is the chosen one, brother. And so the other men, I don't know, they do other things. It doesn't matter.
To the side or something, yeah.
Yeah. Then we get the scene, bro. Here we go. The fucking moment we've all been waiting for. Here comes the fucking Clave to just cut a room open for 10, 15 minutes. I'm still not sold on the Clave. I'm sorry. You've turned me around on some things through this journey together, but almost 2 hours, and then we get this. It's just like spinning on. He's trying to cut into the room where Lyssa is, and it just, I don't know. It's very underwhelming for me. I'm sorry, man. You're not going to make a Clave believer out of me.
I'm not even going to say, because you can't even say glaive right.
Oops, glaive.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No. I'm done with you.
But I can't say anything right. We know this.
No.
7 episodes into this.
People have learned by now.
What's up?
I said you can say Ynir now.
I can. I got a cheat sheet. Anyway, so the glaive is out, baby. I will say later on the glaive does some cool shit, and imagine if they had that in other places, how helpful it would have been. But it wasn't the right time, Carlos.
Can't squander the power.
Exactly. So yeah, now Torquil and the other two, I don't know what exactly they were doing, but they kind of wandered off, and now they're and you got to have this in all the you got to have your room with spikes. So they go into a room where spikes start to come out of the wall, and it ain't good, you know.
No.
So comes out of the wall, it stops for a second, and they drop a knife, and the one of them, so not Osmond, not Torquil, the other gentleman goes to get the knife. And this is because the subtitles help me out here, but I was like, who is Bordolph, you ask? Because it's Bordolph, because Torquil yells Bordolph. And then I was like, doesn't matter, because he dies right here.
Okay.
I don't recognize this gentleman from, like, he must, that's the thing is, you know, we were talking about fleshing out characters earlier. I don't think this gentleman really got a moment like the others.
Probably not. I mean, if anything, this was probably his moment in the room.
Yeah.
So they had to do something, you know, because they're like, well, obviously there's three guys in there, and you know, so we got to give this guy his moment, and you know, let's ram a spike through him.
yeah, he had to go for that knife. So now Cohen gets to Lissa, who tells him that he can't fight the beast here because he's too powerful, and he must fight him away from the center. So he gets all his energy from the center of the fortress, of the Black Fortress. You know, just video game boss shit. Anyways, so he uses the glaive.
So perfect.
Hell yeah! Just waiting for the silence, everybody. I was waiting for the Carlos approval of my pronunciation.
I was just savoring it.
Nice. He uses the glaive to create a wall that collapses, entrapping the beast, right, so they can escape.
It's like he shoots it up into the rocks in the cavern.
Yeah, and
causes them to fall down, and you know.
Yep. Because the glaive is all powerful, man.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, and now he's taking out a shit ton of slayers with it because he like shoots it and it like evaporates them in this electricity. And that's where I was like, imagine if he was able to use this the whole time, man. Like
he didn't need to use it yet at that point.
It would have been helpful. A lot of people maybe would have still been alive if you could just vaporize the slayers, like three of them at once.
Not a single person died from the fucking slayers up until the point where they got to the Black Fortress. They were doing just fine on their own.
All right. Well, fair. I guess what was it? Quicksand? Was that it?
Huh?
Yeah. It was just the quicksand boy, right? That's the one they lost up until then.
Fair
enough. All right. Fair enough. All right. Fine. Whatever. Then why does it need me out? Okay. So he needed it to. So he needed it to cut a hole in a wall. Is what this great weapon is.
The prison chamber where she was at is sealed by the power of the beast.
We're literally going to find out in a little bit how useless this weapon is, Carlos.
But it took having the weapon to get to the point of realizing you didn't need the weapon.
Oh my God. Okay. We needed something to market. See, toys, right? That's what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So the beast emerges from the rocks, right? Yeah. Now he's fucking huge. This is the part I like. So, talking about the Eldritch God kind of stuff, right? So he's out there in the background. He's gigantic. And again, he's a little off compared to everything else.
Reverb on his fucking shit. Yeah, it's cool.
Looks really fucking cool. And yeah, so I wrote like there's this glow. And see, again, I couldn't really say how I wanted to say it, but just go back to what Carlos said. He said it perfect. So Cohen throws the glaive into his chest. Well, first it kind of hovers for a second, and then he just like kind of.
Well, he starts fucking basically like breathing fireballs at him, and the glaive is like destroying the fireballs.
Yeah.
So it's like they're kind of having this like shooting gallery at each other between the glaive and the fireballs and stuff like that, and that was probably a holdover because originally they wanted it to be a dragon and not some weird beast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was like originally the movie. The beast was supposed to be like a make it more medieval fantasy. Mm-hmm. They wanted like a dragon, but then I
think the beast works.
Yeah, I do too, because I think they realized that when some of the sci-fi elements started kind of creeping in a little bit more heavily, they were like, well, nah, let's dragon is just like you almost expected. Let's do something different. So
Yeah.
they came up with a different creature design. But anyway, so they're like having this battle between, Colwyn with the glaive and the beast, and he's shooting these fireballs at him, and the glaive is, exploding these fireballs, like fuck out of here, fuck out of here, fuck outta here. And then he's like throwing it at it, and the beast is like fuck, and whatever. And then all of a sudden the glaive fucking clips him, the beast, in the arm. And the beast starts bleeding, and then the glaive is like something like I never really understood that part either, but for some reason, maybe it's the power of the beast or something, but it's like tainted the glaive, and now Colwyn can't control it anymore, and the glaive is kind of like almost like taking on a little bit of a mind of its own about what it wants to do, like it wants to kill this thing, and it's like it's kind of like it's just taking on its own personality at that point. Because now he can't control it anymore.
Yeah, I never caught that actually.
Yeah,
I thought he was just hovering it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because remember he's like holding his hand out. He's like trying to pull it back, but it won't. It won't.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, shit.
And just to make a Star Wars joke, it's almost like the Force,
Oh, don't worry, I got one coming. Don't worry. You think I'm done with my Star Wars shit?
No, I do not.
Come on, man. But actually, I don't think we've talked about the appearance of the beast yet. You kind of reminded me. How the fuck would we describe this thing?
Oh God, dude! It looks like if you took the young boy at the bottom of the lake, Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you take that and you give him like a reptilian body with like really like just like nasty looking color schemes, man, like this like this dark like an avocado green skin, but then this like blood red eyes and blood red teeth and stuff like that, and like the hair, sometimes it looks like it's again like Jason Voorhees, it's like he's got like 5 hairs hanging off the one side of his head, but they're almost like tentacles looking or something.
And isn't part of his brain showing too?
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, again, like he's got this like fucking waterhead kind of shape or something, like it's like all like the Elephant Man or something, and
right.
But then the way whenever they show him, it's never like a clean shot. It's always like with like they're always doing like a rack focus kind of effect, so like and like a bokeh effect, so like the outer edge of the camera whenever you see him in frame is always like real blurry looking, and then like it'll focus in on one, like you'll see his eye is really sharp and clear, but then his mouth is all blurry when he's talking and stuff. And then like they have like that, which was pretty typical for a lot of fantasy movies at the time. I think Excalibur kind of started it, but it looks like they probably did some stuff with like camera lens gels that they put over it, or even might have even smeared like a thin layer of like Vaseline on there or something. So you get like that kind of murky look to things, but then when light hits it a certain way, everything gets this kind of weird sort of like ethereal glow to it in like the highlights. And they did a lot of that stuff whenever they showed him on screen, which was really smart, because even though the creature design was really cool, having it presented the way they did it kind of reinforces the whole alien aspect of it, which is what it's supposed to be, right? Like some kind of weird alien overlord or something like that. So it kind of reemphasizes that a little bit.
The glaive sort of, I guess, inserts itself into his chest, and not Colwyn, it sounds like. Right. I kind of missed that. Knocks him over, right? And we think he's dead. Colwyn tries to retrieve it, using the Force, but he ain't no Skywalker. Star Wars jokes. So this is where, Carlos, we learn that the power was in them all along. Colwyn says, with the glaive gone, there's no way to fight the beast. Belissa says, it's not the glaive, it's you, silly. The power's in you. But then Colwyn's like, nah, dude, the power is in us. And this is just, all right. So what do, Carlos? What do?
They hold hands.
And they recite their wedding vows again.
Yeah, they basically finish the ceremony that they started at the wedding, and the fire that she took from the water reappears in her hand, and then she gives it to him.
So it's just a fireball spell.
And now he's it's a fire strike of kind, and now he's a badass fire wizard.
It's a firebender, dude. This is Avatar. Fuck, man, this is everything. So the beast gets fucking cooked with some fireballs. They have another little back to forth, right? But eventually, he's no match for love, dude.
Nope.
That's the moral of this story, man. Love conquers all.
Well, that's kind of how it started, but yeah.
Yep. Black Fortress is collapsing as the beast dies because that's how it has to go. Once the main dude's dead, everything.
Well, his power is what's holding it together.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of pressure. And so
he's the beast.
He is a fucking beast, man. We see Titch and Ergo. Ergo's still a tiger and he's wounded, and Titch is sitting there with him, and so Torquil
he got shot. No, don't do my man like that, all right? Ergo got injured because he was protecting Titch from the Slayers, and he fucking killed a handful of them in his tiger form, but he got shot doing it, keeping the boys safe. There you go.
Ergo the Magnificent, man. He's earned his name. We'll just say that.
That kind of goes back to what Rel said. Your actions are what give you weight, not your name.
Mm-hmm.
So he showed that he actually wasn't a coward. He was a hero.
Damn. Good writing.
Mm-hmm. See, it all kind of loops back around.
Absolutely. So Torquil and Oswin, they get freed because with him dying, the spikes go back into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They catch up with Colwyn and Lyssa, and Torquil wants to fucking dip, right? Oh, this is the part too, man. They find blood on the floor, and Oswin like either sniffs it or licks it or something, and he's like, "Oh, it's Ergo's blood." No, what does he do?
He doesn't do either one of those.
He just sees the blood. Then
they see it, and they go. I think one of them says. I think one of them. It might have just been like a writing thing or an editing thing or something, but one of them says that's probably Ergo or something like that.
Yeah, it was Oswin.
Yeah, I don't remember him sniffing the blood or anything like that.
Well, he bent down, so whatever. He looked at it.
Oh, yeah, probably like, it's blood.
Yeah, it's Ergo's. He's probably still alive, which I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But Torquil wants to dip. He's like, what you got here? But this is when Coleman's like, he fought for us. He could. We're not leaving him behind. No man left behind, kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So they get him out. They all
too. Also, I thought that was a little weird too, because that was, despite Torquil being a bandit and all that stuff, everything he had done in the movie up to that point was almost counter to the idea of him just being a bandit. So it was a little weird that he was the one that said, "Let's get out of here."
Yeah,
because that was almost out of character from him. And again, I wonder if it was like maybe just like some editing from a couple of other shots that they didn't intend to use or whatever, but it just almost seemed a little out of character for him at that point.
I agree, because even right up in the beginning, he was the one bandit who was like, "If we survive this, then you can unshackle me." Right. So from the beginning, he's like showing that honorable side.
Yeah, he's got this code of honor kind of thing. And
yeah, so I agree. He doesn't seem like someone.
There was a weird line. It didn't kind of really fit with his character. Yeah. But he didn't press the point either. So. But
they find Titch and Ergo, because Titch has his like walking stick and he's like ringing the bell on. There's like a bell on it, so they're able to find him. They all escape out into the beautiful metal. Fucking hell,
the metal.
They all escape into the beautiful meadow as the Black Fortress is being ripped apart and like torn up into the sky. It looks really cool. Have we said how visually good this movie is, everybody? Awesome. Yeah, and so it gets pulled up to the sky. So they're all sitting there in the meadow together. This really beautiful scenery. So who's left? Right, we got Lyssa, Colwyn, Torquil, Ergo, and Titch. So those are our survivors.
Oswin's in there too, isn't he?
Oh, sorry, Oswin. Yeah. Oswin's there too. Colwyn throws Torquil the keys to his shackles to take him off. But Torquil's like, I might want to keep these as a memento of the journey. So again, showing that honorable side of like, so I'm with you on it. Seemed a little weird, right? Mm-hmm. And so Colwyn says, "Well, keep them. The keys are yours." And this is where Torquil's like, "Well, only a king and his Lord Marshal carries these keys." Little throwback to when they met. Mm-hmm. And Torquil just gives a little smirk and says, "That's right." Colwyn. Implying What's up?
Colwyn does.
Oh, oops, did I say Torquil? Sorry, yeah. Colwyn.
Yeah, implying that Torquil is now the Lord Marshal.
Exactly. And then we get the overdub once again, kind of revisiting the intro of the movie. A girl of ancient name shall become queen. She shall choose a king, and together they shall rule our world. And their son shall rule the galaxy. And they're walking off into the meadow, and that is the end.
That is the end.
We got there, man. So that was KRULL, everybody.
KRULL.
Let's do some. Gonna have me some fun.
Gonna have me some fun.
I gotta have me some fun. I'm gonna 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 have me some fun.
All right. So this movie has no book, so we will not be doing a book to movie comparison. This one was a little fun to do the science fiction versus science fact because I had to get a little creative on this one since
because there's no science fact in it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I had to get a little creative. So I might be reaching on some of these pretty hard, man, but I did my best here. So let's just jump in. All right, we're gonna talk about the Black Fortress itself. All right. Okay. A sort of shape-shifting alien structure, right?
Sure.
So the Black Fortress, home to the Beast and his slayers, the alien stronghold that can teleport to a new location each day, making it nearly impossible for the heroes to find it, right? So what do we got for a real-life counterpart to that, buddy? Well, let's talk about some quantum tunneling and wormholes. Again, I'm reaching, but I did my best. While we don't have teleporting fortresses, sorry, shocker, some real-world physics concepts resemble the idea. So quantum tunneling, all right? In quantum mechanics, particles like electrons can move through barriers as if they teleported past them. This principle is used in real-world tech, such as scanning, tunneling, microscopes, and flash memory in smartphones. So smartphones are, alien structures like the Black Fortress, brother.
Okay.
How about that?
I'll buy it.
Yeah, wormholes, a theoretical concept from Einstein's general relativity. Wormholes are shortcuts through space-time. If traversable wormholes existed, they could allow instant travel between two distant points, just like how the Black Fortress jumps from KRULL's landscapes. Scientists, including physicists like Kip Thorne, have explored the mathematics of wormholes, though we have no experimental proof they exist. So that's about what I got for real world counterparts to the Black Fortress. Yeah. All right. This one's for Carlos. Let's talk about the glaive. All right. Okay. So what is it in the film, right? The glaive is a mystical 5-bladed throwing weapon that Colwyn controls with his mind, guiding it through the air and recalling it like a boomerang. It moves with precision and seemingly unlimited power. So there we go. So what is a real world thing to that? A boomerang. We're done. I'm kidding. There's more.
There is no real world. It's a fantasy weapon.
Yes.
It's like,
but that's the fun part, Carlos. Man, you and Neil deGrasse Tyson need to hang out, dude.
No, man.
Party pooping. The fun part is to think of what is the closest thing.
Excalibur.
Okay. Or also we got drones with neural interfaces. So scientists have been developing brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, that allow users to control drones and robotic limbs using their thoughts. Devices like EEG-based emotive headsets have allowed paralyzed patients to manipulate robotic arms, similar to how Kyle directs the glaive.
Did you say Kyle?
What?
What the fuck is similar to how who?
Colwyn. What did I say?
I'm pretty sure you just said Kyle.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you said you were fucking reaching, you're reaching, but yeah.
Hey, man, I'm doing my best here, dude.
I'm not disagreeing now. I'm not disagreeing.
Or we have magnetic levitation. All right. The way the glaive hovers in midair could be explained using magnetic levitation, where strong magnetic.
Day off, man.
What?
Don't talk to me about magnets on my day off.
Tell us about magnets.
No, I'm not going to tell you about magnets. I'm a fucking quality manager for a magnetics company. I'm not talking to you about magnets and magnetic stuff on my day off.
Okay.
I got to deal with that shit all week long, man.
The way the glaive hovers in midair could be explained using magnetic levitation, Carlos, where strong magnetic fields suspend and propel objects without physical contact. Is that something you do at work?
Yeah.
Nice. See, dude, you're already harvesting the power of the glaive, dude, every day.
Every day. That's
Every
why
day.
I got into that profession.
Yeah. The principal powers, high-speed maglev trains in Japan and China, which use superconducting magnets to glide above tracks with minimal friction.
Yeah. My inner child knew somehow that this job would be connected to the glaive.
All right, everybody. That was KRULL with Carlos Alvarez. Next week, we're doing Starship Troopers. Carlos, thanks for bearing with me on this one. We had a lot of fun.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Each other.
Anything that Jason might have said about this movie that's negative, don't listen to him. He's full of shit. This is a glorious movie and one of the most fun times you can have with an 80s fantasy type movie.
All right, everybody. See you next time for Starship.
Jason.
The forest is not safe. You best travel with us.
Me? Travel with you? Do you know who I am?
No.
I am Ergo the Magnificent. Short in stature, tall in power, narrow of purpose, and wide of vision. And I do not travel with peasants and beggars. Goodbye.